guys, Kamina the coach here. So I'm gonna get right to it. I'm Kamina the coach. This channel was originally designed to help teachers get it together to get overseas. And that was in the heyday of working overseas when packages were big and fat, and then COVID happened. 2020, March of 2020, I went back to the United States and refocused the channel on what I was working on, and what probably a lot of people were working on, was addressing trauma caused by a whole bunch of reasons. August of 2022, I was lucky enough to get out of the United States. I'm currently in Mexico, and this will be my forever home. But this video is going to be on you should not move to Mexico as an educator if. Of course, it's all subjective, right? So a lot of this stuff is just my opinion, and I am a very unusual person. However, if you're watching my channel, you may also be a relatively unusual person. And in general, I think that people find my opinion and my experience to be helpful. So without further ado, so I will let you know probably what sets me apart from a lot of people watching the channel is I was born and raised in Texas, so I am fairly fluent in spoken Spanish, relatively speaking. So you should not move to, so first of all, the difference between Mexico, going to Mexico to teach, and a lot of the other countries to teach is Mexico is a place that you want to go, so you should not come to Mexico if you're looking to pay off debt, if you're looking to get rich quick, if you're looking for a big cash dump. Mexico is not the place to do that, not as an educator. And personally, I don't condone living in other people's countries illegally, which is what a lot of digital nomads are doing, people who come here and work online. That's not what this channel is about. This channel is really focused on people who want to enter people's countries legally and be involved in education or some other form of work, not working online. So if you're going into working abroad to pay off debt or to save, Mexico is not going to be the place for you. If you're looking, so that's a big way that Mexico is very different from China. China, you can still go as a licensed teacher and make fairly decent money, probably quite a bit more than Mexico, and really, really decent packages, and you're going to be able to put away a lot of money. However, you're not going to be able to stay in China, and that's the way that Mexico is different, and that's why Mexico will be my forever home eventually, because this can be my forever home. China-ish, I know people that have lived in China for a long time, but you can't ever get permanent residency in China, and you can't ever get a Chinese passport if you're not Chinese. And in fact, even Chinese who have gone outside of laws have trouble getting their kids passports. It's a political discussion we're not going to go into. So do not come to Mexico to educate if you're looking to pay off debt, if you're looking to stack a lot of money, or if you don't have a relatively significant savings. The people that I have seen happiest in Mexico long term are, and the people that, so the longest I've seen people be here is 14 years. And these are people that have a savings already. They worked in other countries, they put some money away, so they're able to come here comfortably. Do you have to have a car in Mexico? No. Does it make things a little more comfortable? Yeah, it does. There's some spectacular places in Mexico to see and experience. It would be nice to have a car, and it's not really easy to do that if you are trying to live and save on a local salary. Relatively speaking, if you are a licensed teacher, they're going to pay you quite a bit more than a local salary, but it's still not what you have in mind as a Western person, especially if you have any debt that you have left to pay off in the United States, student loan debts or anything like that that you're trying to pay on. It is not going to be that type of party in Mexico. It's not. So that's what's going, and that's why people, so I've been in Mexico since August. This is my third school in that amount of time, and this is my second time in Mexico. And people are like, why, if you love Mexico so much, you keep bouncing in and out? So I had a substantial amount of savings when I came the first time, and I've talked about this in several videos. And then President Trump got elected, and Mexico's visa process changed. So I ended up getting stuck in the United States. It should have been 3 weeks, and I got stuck there for 3 months. So I burned through a lot of my savings. So that's why I couldn't stay the first time. And then this time, I had no savings. I'd been in the United States for 2 years due to COVID, and I had no savings. I had about $3,000 when I came, and that went really quickly, getting set up with an apartment and buying stuff. And I find it, for me, and I don't need a lot, I find it really uncomfortable to try to live in Mexico without a savings. So from my experience, I'm offering you this advice based on my experience. I'm not basing it off nothing. The school that I'm currently at has a lot of turnover because they pay less than $1,000 a month, and this is not an international school, but they expect international school standards. I don't know that I could be comfortable with that ever, but definitely can't be comfortable with that if I don't have enough money to live comfortably. If you don't speak Spanish, you're going to be very uncomfortable in Mexico as an educator. Even if you live in some place where there is a large Mexican community, a large expat community, which I don't really recommend if you're coming to Mexico to live. I really recommend you trying to be a productive part of the community. What is her name? Roxanne Banner something. Roxanne. She's in my teachers group. She has done a spectacular job of immigrating to Mexico. She is not an expat. She has immigrated to Mexico. She aggressively learned Spanish, her and her daughter. She became part of the community. She wasn't seeking out an expat community. She made a life for herself inside of the Mexican community. And that's what I advocate for, and that's what I'm working on myself. So yes, you can go live in an expat community, but you still have to deal with Mexicans. And even if you live in Mexico City, you are not often going to find people in banks, doctor's offices, places that you have to go on a regular basis that are going to speak English. And one thing that frustrates me to no end is to go see American and Western people be frustrated in an establishment because they don't understand what's going on. So I just got paid my final pay where I am here, and it was supposed to be in cash. They paid me in a check. I walked my happy behind to the bank, which is not close. And they were like, because I don't read Spanish very well, they were like, this can't be cash. Do you have an account here? I'm like, no. And they're like, this check can't be cashed. You have to deposit it in an account somewhere else. Well, I have an account in another state. It is an international, it is a national bank, but it's in another state. And I have a lot of problems with that account, so it's iffy depositing it into that account. So it was stressful for me as someone who speaks Spanish. And I cannot imagine how much more stressful it would be for somebody who doesn't speak Spanish. So don't come to Mexico to teach if you're looking to save. If you don't have savings, if you don't speak Spanish, if you're not looking to be part of the community. And again, I base all of this stuff on personal experience, personal experience. Again, if you're watching my channel, I hope that you value my opinion. I've been doing this for a long time. I love Mexico. This is where I want to live. It's amazing that you can have a temporary residency visa for just 4 years and get permanent residency. But you need a savings. You need more than just basic Spanish. You need to be at mid-level at least, or you're gonna be frustrated anyways. Unless you are absolutely fluent, you're gonna be frustrated anyways. And so the last reason, the last thing, don't come to Mexico if you have absolutely no patience. Things change rapidly in Asia, and communication isn't great most places that I've worked. Mexico is a whole nother level. A lot of communication is done via WhatsApp. If you don't know what that is, it's just a voice messaging app instead of email. People aren't CC'd, people aren't in the know. It is beyond frustrating. So let me give you an example. So when I came here, they asked me if I would start a week early. I was like, okay. The director of the school, he was like, okay, your supervisor, the principal of middle school, will contact you on Friday for a tour, and then you can start on Monday. Well, Friday comes and nothing. And HR contacts me, lives next door. Like, everything okay? I'm like, no, not really. Like, oh, you should have let us know. We decided you'd start on your regular date. And that's all just word of mouth. Nothing done via email. And these are all foreigners. These weren't Mexicans, these were all foreigners. An American director, and a Colombian principal, and an Italian HR director. When I gave my notice, the director said, okay, you'll be paid on cash yesterday. The HR says you'll be paid tomorrow. And then I get there and they pay me in a check. It happens a lot in Mexico, and it doesn't really matter where you are and what environment you're in. It happens a lot in Mexico. So you really have to be in that state of mind where you're willing to learn how to be flexible, which is hard coming from a Western culture, and I'm still working on it, honestly. Noise pollution is still a thing here as well. You can probably hear the school behind me's noise, but if you've worked in China, you're probably used to that. Possibly the Middle East. I found the Middle East quite a bit quieter, but China for sure was really loud. I kind of live with earplugs in my ears quite a bit because I am quite neurodivergent. I'm not quite autistic, but I'm pretty close. The noise bothers me. So if noise bothers you, you might think about that as well, especially in a big city. I'm not even a big city. So don't come to Mexico if you're trying to save. If you don't have a savings, your Spanish isn't great, you're not looking to integrate into society, you're not looking to stay long term, if noise bothers you, and you don't have a lot of patience. So that's just my 2 cents, all just really based off opinion. Until next time, beautiful people, Camina the coach, sending you love, light, peace, and joy. I'm out.